Welcome, my name is Lisa O'Neill and I'm on the board of directors here at Casa Libre. I'm really excited to be here and to have all of you here. And welcome, of course, to our readers, to DG and Bojan and to Susan. And just to tell you a little bit about Casa Libre for those of you who aren't familiar, we're a literary arts nonprofit here in Tucson, and we offer workshops, we offer readings like the one that you're attending right now, and are trying to support writers and lovers of the language at in all different genres, in all different levels of skill or how long they've been writing here at Casa. And just to let you know about some of our upcoming things to look out for. If you, we're just at casalibre.org, so if you're interested in getting, we use our mailing list very infrequently, so we'll send out a monthly newsletter, and we'll also send out notices about special readings like the reading tonight or workshops that are happening, but it's not like incessant like some of those newsletters that I'm sure you all get that I do. So anyway, it's pretty easy to sign up. There is a workshop with DG tomorrow, which still has some openings, so if you're interested, please speak with Melissa Buckheit. From 6 to 8, it will be held here in the library. There's an upcoming workshop in December, which is a day-long workshop which will also involve cooking, and it's with a visiting writer, so check that out. And then coming up, there's a Lamplight reading series this Sunday. There's a Shukson reading series on December 6th. The next Edge series will feature Ari Bellathor, Elena Diaz, and Elena Diaz Borquist and Meg Wade, and that's on December 11th. And then there's a new series that's just, I don't know, maybe a couple months old, and it's called Great Poems Spoken, and they pick a different genre each time, and then local writers will come and read these epic poems, not epic in length, epic in notoriety, I guess. And it's classic mystical poems read aloud on Friday, December 13th. So thanks again so much for being here, and please enjoy the reading, and please join me in welcoming the curator of the Edge Reading Series, Melissa Buckheit. I'm not as tall as Lisa.
Can you hear me, or is that too low?
It's good? Yeah.
It's a little too loud. I project as well.
It's good out here.
Excellent. So how's everyone doing tonight? Good? It's good to see everyone here. So I'm just going to very briefly introduce our readers. I prefer to let their words speak for them, and so to that end I don't generally write long, lengthy introductions, although I love them, but I don't do them. It's just a kind of belief system. But tonight our readers are Susan Briante, Bojan Louis, and DG Nanouk okpik. And DG is our visiting writer coming from Santa Fe. She's a recent winner of the American Book Award, and that's whose workshop is going to be tomorrow. So like Lisa said, if you're interested in taking her workshop, which is called That Curious Leap, the Form and Tradition of Japanese Renga. So it's a form workshop that deals with collaborative and individual Japanese Renga form and the history of Japanese Renga. You can talk to me afterwards. I believe we have a partial scholarship available in one more spot, so that's an available thing too. So just introduce the authors, and then we'll get started. Susan Briante is the author of 2 books of poetry, Utopia Minus and Pioneers in the Study of Motion, both from Ahsahta Press. Her most recent collection, Publishers Weekly, writes, "This book finds an urgent language for the world in which we live." Briante also writes essays on documentary poetics, as well as on the relationship between place and cultural memory. Some of these can be found in creative nonfiction, Rethinking History, Jacket, and The Believer. I'm going to wait for the door. A translator, Briante lived in Mexico City from 1991 to 1997, working as a translator for the magazines Artes de México, and Mandorla. She has recently received grants and awards from the Atlantic Monthly, the MacDowell Colony, the Academy of American Poets, and the U.S.-Mexico Fund for Culture. She is finishing a work on a new collection of poems, The Market Wonders, inspired by the current economic crisis. She is an associate professor of creative writing, most recently here at the University of Arizona, and we're happy to have her here. Bojan Louis is a member of the Navajo Nation. I'm going to skip the part that I don't know how to say properly. I want to honor people who can speak it properly. He is a poet, fiction writer, and essayist who earns his ends and writing time by working as an electrician, construction worker, and adjunct English and creative writing instructor at Arizona State University and various community colleges in the Phoenix metropolitan area. He is currently the guest editor at Hinchas de Poesia and co-editor of Waxwing, a new online literary magazine, and his most recent sort of publication, can I say it's recent? Yeah. When did this come out exactly?
Last year.
Last year, okay, so that counts. It's a nonfiction chapbook that was put up by Guillotine Press, and it's called Troubleshooting Silence in Arizona. So if you're interested in looking at it or buying a copy, I'll be selling them out front. And lastly, but not least, DG nanouk okpik is originally from Alaska's Arctic slope, is Inuit, and her family resides in Barrow, Alaska. She is the author of Corpse Whale, published by the University of Arizona Press in October 2012, which was named a 2013 winner of the American Book Award. She holds a BFA in creative writing from the Institute of American Indian Arts and an MFA in creative writing from Stone Coast College. Okpik is resident advisor at Santa Fe Indian School in New Mexico and has been a recipient of the Truman Capote Fellowship. Her poetry has been published in Touchstone, Ahani, Indigenous American Poetry, Many Mountains Moving, Poet Lore, Washington Square, Red Ink, and Sentence. Her first chapbook was included in Effigies, an anthology of the Indigenous Americas, also from the University of Arizona Press in 2011. And I did want to mention that our reading is co-sponsored by the University of Arizona Press and Poets and Writers, so we're very happy for their support. If you're interested in buying DG's book, the University of Arizona Press is outside and sitting here. If you want to put a hand up in case anyone has any questions. They're selling her book for $15, right, outside. And you can also glance at the copy we have here, which is up here. I want to welcome all of you, all of the writers. I'm going to let their words speak for them, but they are all amazing, diverse, and let's hope they create some different geographies we can enter into. Thank you. Let's give them a hand. Guess how tall you are. I think it's too short.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
I can slouch.
You can slouch. Hopefully not.
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Hello, everybody. It's good to be back in Tucson. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. When Melissa told me who I was reading with, I was kind of like starstruck, you know, Susan and DG. It's like, shit. What am I going to read? But I have what I have, I guess. I'm just kidding. I'm going to read. I finally finished this sequence that runs through. I kind of finally finished this collection, and I've been sending it out, but I finally finished the long poem that is central to it. It's called Currents, but it's in 3 parts, 3 different titles, 3 different locations. So Melissa mentioned that I've worked as an electrician for about 10 years now, while teaching as well. So the basic circuit in electrical is a hot, a neutral, and a ground wire that makes everything work safely. So relative sets, I'm concerned a lot with 3s. There's also 4s because if you get into, 277 volt, the structure changes. And there's actually 4 wires, but we won't think about that now. Stuff blows up. That's all. So the first one is called Currents, and I'll start with that. I'm a bit ill-prepared. It's somewhere in here. Okay, Currents 1. New Sun asks, Be nothing, have nothing. Send opened your whole being. Only part of me is blessed, a body exerted after long hours, responsibility, and need to ease tremors. The last of March's welfare won't go past the 18th. Hunger pains dull month to month. We've burned the final log from February's half-chord. Son's school books, claimed lost, are enough to get the fire going. My youth wasn't warm enough to stone prairie dogs, skin and eat. The drive past the flats no longer makes instant noodles cheaper. Mornings blind when throats throw heat. Stutter steps skid linoleum. Untouched eggs feed me. Forget me. 2. Mom's a woman with red skin and long receipts. An aluminum facade of sparkle talk and sheen. Measuring steps, easy win, sudden guess. Sissy boys tear and candy don't take care. There isn't a nickel in any cushion. Skeletal hair remains collect all over. Red drips redder than my skin, redder than swallowed embarrassment, than slap, freezing feet. A dark hall's corner, a damask of lines. The call to mom uses, telling me I don't add up. I penguin walk and cross feet. In grass, I pull my knees up. Still, the grass grows toward me. 3. The coin fare for a crosstown bus, a rosary for time on my own. Slow approach on the upcoming stop, a heavy let, a stiffened step, on concrete right-angled silhouettes, the butane flame dawn. The water's hot, and there's light. The home encloses the sun lost until 6:30 brings noise of traffic delays and brewing. I get little out of this. Pay's ungrateful. I eat little. My eyes bulge. I don't know the woman letting time slip. So these 3 are like a conversation between a family. Where they occur, I don't know, it just happens. It's more like a chorus, like the whole thing's like a chorus. So, yeah. The next one is called, and I've never read this before, so I'm doubting myself. It's called Hydrolysis, and its location is Coal Mine Mesa on the Navajo Nation, which is on the west side, south of Tuba City. In what's known as the Bennett Freeze, where the Navajo-Hopi land dispute, I don't think it's really our dispute, other than a government-created dispute. So like, you belong on that side, you belong on this side. It's like, all right, whatever, asshole. So hydrolysis, 1. To hunt work down, her dad slurred, as consistently as the days his unemployment was condoned. No mail delivery or landlines. She hitched any time the neighbor's wagon passed. Funny. In the 50s, most of the country drove. Had buses stopping at the long end of dirt ruts. Wouldn't have mattered. Liver failure, dysentery would keep him home. Before ever playing with books and paper, my mother swung axes, kindling priority over that of her hearts. The hope for supper and frosted doom dawns indebted the family to wood. Her siblings and her stole what made stars burn from gas cans at the trading post and huffed that shit into their lungs. It's neat to scissor perforated outlines so that the cut keeps. Feathered edges thirst for moisture, dissolve, and warble like voices nixing sleep. Somnambulant sons and daughters, cleaved from the everyday bonding of their parents. If it's not them who alter, it's you. 2. It's knockup when solar hues dampen the trek home's frost after a desperate and smitten beau, whose bed is already shared by a sibling, swears palm to chest that his groin is sated, no longer a trope of want or population, but a tropic above the equator, where one heat is necessary, one heat is good. Handouts by diapers hardly ever do food sometimes. A belly, stretch-marked and loose after a body's exit, is again a plasterer's hawk, a temporary hole before a more permanent smearing. Lead paint bleeding into asbestos, crumbling to flake and dust. An interlock of detritus, dead weeds blown against volcanic rock. Birth to birth, all this. Off the uranium wind reservation, on Utah farms and in cities, God comes easy. A touching that's domestic, the fault of being language naughty or sun-darkened pretty. Simple as thighs like chicken skin, pussy wet like dog nose. A telling that's contraband to distribute on the home front, where the more one loses oneself, the less is asked of them. 3. It's better if monsters are vanquished with our stories, done in by hero twins. Nayen is ganeto obendas. Mom's words. Labyrinths aren't nature's making. Humans obsessed over harnessing a pattern, placing dead ends, calling walls art. Whether trimmed, hedged, or bonded by mortar, both, anything really, began in water. And it keeps us. And it keeps us. Despite my traditional knowing there's no other being I'll see in the poorly stained cedar cabinet willed to me. A Greek he-monster, myth trim and fit with afflictions of the earth, moss beard, stump horns, hoof foot, and lichen plaque. Not an ideal. More a reject that science or the Pope will heal. It's not a matter of what I see. After a burial, the unstained shells can be burned. Time, in any circumstance, disfigures. Basically, don't know, you know. Don't be bothered. Keep at it. That dream. The one where money's not a problem. Dream something else. Maybe about skies, gusts, or temperatures. But the seasons, wind, or coverage never quit. They're just some other way. So I'm just going to keep driving you guys downward. The last one's called Breach. And it's set in Sitka, Alaska, where I lived for a year framing houses. I had to rent this 3-bedroom apartment because there was no other things available. And I had a sleeping bag and a box of books, and that's it. And I had this empty apartment with 2 empty rooms, no couch. I had an alarm clock. Anyway, I ran a lot and and read a lot of books, and then that's when I was like, this shit sucks. I think I'm going to apply to grad school. Which wasn't any better. It's the same emptiness, but there's a shitload of people around you. Just kidding.
The feel-good poet of the
year. Yeah, I'm going for the feel-good poet of the year. So Breach, 1. It's years I've been recovered. Parents gone the way of worms. Mom alone, her own decision. Dad, how he was always, asphyxiated until rolled over. The frontier I'm abandoned to, exposed root rib cages above ground, rained on so much there's no dust, no blowaway, traceless surfaces. With a single bag and one-way ticket, I rented the first found available, 3-bedroom, living, kitchen, dining. Filled it with myself. Every room empty, except where I slept. Girls I had over, fucked to the floor, left sobered mostly. Offered other times at their places later. I accepted, then abandoned, fixed at the clinic. This high north, though not freezing, an island settlement cut off the coast. Pines, spruce, and chaotic undergrowth rise up along the crescent of mountains, open toward the ocean. Rain more sky than the sky is sky. I'm not home, less interested in finding it, hours from the mainland. 2. On an outlying island, red deer wait out hunters tracking shit steam for rifle crack. Otters cut away, supine through water, to humans hypothermic. The turned engine skiff on sucking mud signals the goddamn day's done. Across the still cobalt inlet, carrions line the bald rim of a sundowner volcano. Glaciers imagined against the sea heaven horizon melt when fog lifts and mist shots echo, fade into the tree line. The casings mimic pebbles. Anger defines me here in what's seen in pictures as pristine beauty, untouched by man's dirty finger. Dad's belched regrets, mom's frustrated unspoken hurt. I want recompense, solitude and forgiveness's distance, nourishment sought, cited, and put down. 3. Where welding fails, release hollers out the soon-to-be empty space, a continent, a levee, what rises, takes. Ice given heat like a child, spread with hands telling quiet. Ocean hefted over stern deflates my ill posture, gone life drunk, so drowned in drink nobody wants to want me. Rarer dad shouted at by moms, get, don't feed us, sink, be eaten. Jonah's a lucky fuck, bow held and undigested, dumb animal him, swallowed entire in warmer water. I don't believe he escaped. He's down in there still, hung from the beast's spine, feet eaten, body untouched. Okay, so there's a moment in one of those poems where it talks about Utah. And, my parents were both adopted by Mormon foster parents called the Mormon Placement Program, so they went to live with Mormon families in Utah. Anyway, this one's called Baptism for the Dead, and that's a practice that is part of Mormonism, where they baptize people who have passed to get them into heaven, I guess. I don't agree with it. So baptism for the dead. Don't take my name to the water, a soul with no body to enter. The dead don't share skin with the living, no conduit between. Don't set me in afterlife. My name is my body. So Navajo culture, I should have said this before, when someone dies, you're not ever supposed to speak their name again, out of respect, you know? So the baptism and speaking someone's name is just doesn't make sense. Am I good on time? One or two more?
25 minutes.
Oh dear. I think I've been going for like 12 minutes. All right, so this is a fairly new one. I'll remember which one I drank from. So, yeah, I guess this is just most recent one I finished. It is actually kind of new. My process is more like 5 years to a poem. So I've been working on this for, I don't know, forever. I don't even know how old I am too long. It's like 4 different cities. That's all I know. So it's called There. Blowing smoke and ill thoughts toward the shadows of old bungalows built before dusk became an ember of ozone and smog. The highway is smashed with too many glasses for me to drive east to my sister, who stays with every light on so no uncertainty of the darkness can reach her. She sleeps days, the house's high ceilings incubate her, while the sun guards the windows, doors, and closets, forces into the open, a jealous deliverer whose only opportunity to affect comes on nights with no moon. The prayers my sister recites calm, though hardly quell, like wafers and wine. Thoughts of saviors from foreign lands, or boundaries like imagined barriers bisecting an ocean, summon the idea, God or Creator. My sister calls our mother and father once to ask if the Chinidis of our Diné history can be translated into demons listed in a Gotia. They know that any grow from love's demise. So when I call her finally, after hours walking avenues of proposed guilt, it's not her I hear, but voicemail. I say this: old Abraham, the sheep of subservience, denied God Isaac, or was it God denied God? Abe's blade made domestic. He skinned a bush-caught ibex, offered it burnt. His boy ignited the sticks of the altar pyre he assembled, hungered at what wasn't his to eat. Isaac spent 200 years at the pitch end of wells, digging water. His name, laughter fits when nothing funny was done. Let's assume angels tickled him. Why consider drugs, bipolarity, or a curse? He'd been divined already. It's lonely in the thirst of the sun, in the drowning of a well. The silhouette in the houses around you will dance on occasion. It might not be a two-step or waltz, but a bad lamp, some faulty wiring, a violent flicker that gets you worried. Not knowing, Shadeja, is an unwanted voltage, a flood, a current engulfing you. All right, so, like you said, I've worked as an electrician for 9 years, worked construction for 15 years. And when you do that in Arizona, or these, I think, border states with weird immigration policies, or less racist immigration policies, not weird. You see a lot of shitty people do shitty things. So when I'd work, I'd see more often than I wanted to, and like, who do you call when this happens? People would, get migrant workers, have them work a 14-hour day, and then call INS, and have them deported, because there's a lot of them, and you can just go get more, I guess. So I was really young when that was happening. I think I was only 24. And I didn't know what to do. It was like, I don't know what I could have said to anybody, like, hey, stop that. And then it would be like, I was a fucking apprentice. And this is Arizona, so everybody carries guns, So I had my gun, because I had a concealed and carry, but they all had their guns, so, where does that go? Nowhere. So this is called electricity. Is it phony?
Sorry, it's supposed to be turned off.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Maybe we can answer. Electricity. The morning roundups are current leaking to earth without interruption or fault. Above busted streetlights, the sun buzzes to a cuffed line of deportees, the sheriff's imbalanced authority. Any laborer gathered for a tear-out agrees the pleasure of opening walls is a view of what's no longer behind. the restrained motion of a body caught within a fence run between language is a union of shock and memory. It's weird, I taught all morning, so I feel like I need to any questions? Anybody? Comments on the reading? Did you even do the fucking reading? It's like that stare off I had every class. It's like 10 minutes. What do you think about this? And 8 minutes pass, and they're all it's like if you look down, I don't disappear. I wish if I looked down, you all disappeared. Yeah. But I wasn't a good student either. I did the reading, but I was just too stoned to say anything. It's like, yeah, that's good. Blew my mind. This is the last poem I'll read. This is the broadside that Melissa I'm a writer, I can't think of the word, gratefully made, I don't know. It's called Fire and Ashes. The red off the far ridge, an eating dragon, slow coming down the valley. My mom's imagination over the phone, a quarter mile of cars ahead. No one has stopped on their way north or south to capture hop shots, turning the beast to smolder. Somewhere out in the burn, under dusk, a rattler den unfurls fast as brush fire and clenches against the infernal draft that blocks entrance and escape. For an instant, or minutes maybe, their unnatural warmth is a comfort beneath the ablaze final day. It's the shape I'm in. I don't tell her that I will leave days from this moment, the high, dry mountain we drive towards, for the ashes of a different monster. Thank you.
The shorter poet steps up.
Is that a good spot? Right there?
How does it sound?
I don't know, you'd have to try.
I
Are
think
you
that-
allowed or you don't know?
I'm kind of medium. It depends on the mood. I feel very quiet. That was so beautiful.
Thanks.
I've seen, I've only been in Tucson a few months, and I've had the privilege of going to so many wonderful readings. It kind of makes me just want to keep listening to poetry. I'm like, oh God, you got me to read now? I just want to sit and listen. It's gorgeous. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be a part of this evening. Thank you for organizing. So speaking of poetry that brings you down, I've been, I try every once in a while a joke, I started writing these poems in the beginning of the current economic crisis. Are we still calling it the current economic crisis? Occasionally it seems to have passed and then something else happens. But and I won't say, I'll kind of just, I won't say a lot between the poems, I'll kind of just read them, but I will say this as an introduction. When the crisis first started in 2008, I got really struck by the way it was being discussed. And many of you may have noticed, the market, or the closing number of the Dow, tends to be one of the major measures for how our health as a country economically is gauged. And it's in fact the last thing, even if you listen to so-called liberal news outlets, the last thing they end the news report with, the closing number of the Dow. And they often say things like, the market rallied today, the market reacted on fears, the market, seemed jumpy. And I was like, who the hell is this fucking market? So I decided to imagine him. So some of the poems personify the market. And the other poems I used, after I did that for a while, I started recording the closing number of the Tao, which I didn't normally do because not like that big of an investor. You probably couldn't tell by looking at me. And I just started to plug it into, I love these trains. I started to plug the number into search engines, Project Gutenberg, texts, Bartlett's quotations. There was an online version of Paradise Lost. So I'd have the recorded number of the Tao for a day, and I'd have my notebook of my own observations, and I'd let that number lead me to a text that would tweak or turn or move the poem in some way. And it was kind of a way to experiment with the ways in which I felt the Tao was hovering over and kind of influencing my life, although it wasn't the way that I was living the experience of the economic crisis. I'm just glad I can see the page, which becomes a problem.
Do you need more light?
No, I'm fine. The market scowls, crosses the street against traffic, settles, hovers over a spreadsheet with his administrative assistant as if it were an infant. Sleeps in another bed after 3.5 years of marriage, can only sleep on half of the bed after 43 years of marriage, sees a coffin in a shop window, grows nostalgic for shop windows on crowded city streets, where men made picture frames, repaired television sets, piled tools in doorways, nursed machines to roast and grind coffee, operated a printing press. The market wants to apprentice, cannot apprentice, looks like a nest in a tree. The market is a parasite that looks like a nest in a tree, howled through the ventilation system, hairless, blind, a newborn calf sleeping on your chest. The curdling market whose milk has come in. The market wonders where the soul goes, decides that God must be a cripple to make the rest of us feel whole. Remembers a trip to Mexico when he was just out of college. Oh, the beggars in clown paint. Oh, the girl he never wrote. Jacaranda, jacaranda, jacaranda. Cheap purple leaves dirty the sidewalk. A street named for revolution. A street named for insurgents. A street named for reform. Nights when church bells rose to Aztec temples. Like the soul? At the hostel, she told him a body must train to hold the light of the spirit. They fucked, listening to the Rolling Stones, burning candles. God, the market loved Mexico and the Rolling Stones. Then he had kids. It was all profit margin and technostructure, rollerblades for a few years. Mostly he all but forgot about his legs. It must be okay to be nothing but sight for a while. All this over here, that over there, the packing slip, the manifest, toes, arches, heels, calves. Like his doctor told him, relax each muscle against all that shimmer. Grass sequented with difference. Butterflies trembling like addicts. In a cornfield, the violet is a weed. October 1st, the Tao closes down 9,509. In the dream, I cue with a pane of glass in my hand. Next to me, a child and a mirror. Then we stand at the edge of an accident. I pick up a sliver of windshield, place it on my tongue. The glass tastes cold stone, dirt, and I love the way it fractures on my mouth. Glass often indicates a strong psychic or intuitive ability. Broken glass predicts change, not necessarily beneficial. To receive cut glass means you will be admired for your brilliance and talent. To dream you eat glass signals vulnerability, confusion, frailty. 9 plus 5 plus 0 plus 9 equals 23. 2 plus 3 equals 5. 5 equals freedom, adaptability, unpredictable travel, abuse of the senses. In a Sufi proverb, the bear must deal with 20 obstacles. Each one of them involves pears, because the bear adores pears. October 14th, the Tao closes up 10,015. I bleed a little. Peyote tea waits in the refrigerator. A Ferris wheel spins and spins at the fair. After the miscarriage, we search for rings with missing stones, unmatched earrings, sell our gold, ride the Ferris wheel bigger than the one in Paris. My parents pray for us. I play Dylan's Spanish Boots over and over. Watch the sunroof fill with night. Like seeing a film of people I recognize but don't really know. Schuyler says, you can't get at sunset listing colors. Between the liar's trees and shopping carts, we buy a house, cry in bed, leave the child unnamed. Pink, lemon, pearly blue, white. October 15th, the Tao closes up 10,062. What if I write it all down? Track it. If I consult tickers and windows, measure blood flow, monitor the rise and fall of my accounts, the tarnish of leaves. Will a veil tear? Will a web sparkle, dew strung, a rope bridge between the dead, living, unborn? Will a newspaper curl at the bottom of my driveway, inverted pyramids of mourning? Can I feel these numbers like Whitman at the rail of a ferry, gauging the vibrations of a nation? Networks of pop and ping, years of accounting. The Tao rises above 10,000. My dog scratches his ear. Numbers lay down in their ledgers. Rain clears, but the cold arrives. The unborn keep their distance. A lamp buzzes on a timer. I make a dinner of brown rice, butternut squash, and kale. Something, event, or my body in its suchness. Know thyself, the oracle said, but by what measure? Archaeologists will know me better, the market thought, as he took out a measuring tape from finger to elbow, elbow to shoulder. Not even lovers learn these intimate coordinates. An obituary lists dates, ages, number of children and grandchildren survived by. Such a horrible phrase that brings to mind a group of wounded passengers staggering across a tarmac, wreckage, sirens, the waiting to be saved. We know nothing but this living, the market thinks, not to go on forever without a beginning, middle, end. But he wanted a chance to learn something else, a single breath beyond this story, a book he saw with paint-covered pages, paragraph by paragraph, erased, whole neighborhoods, friends, memories turned white space, blind spot, skeleton, a poem in place of a thick life of prose, and no one to teach him how to read it. Brought him right down.
Keep doing it.
Drive him right into the gun. You guys are a great audience. Thank you for I can feel you're listening. July 2nd, the Dow closes down, 9,686. The physicists say the universe might be a projection on the edge of a screen, shadow by a door, or the boundary between the Muskogee and Cherokee nations, more nothing than anything else. Smash the smallest parts to see if nothingness breaks. But there must be another way, a reason in the cosmic order to necessitate human existence, an equation to explain the little arrows at the ends of my fingers, plate glass above all that I do. And you hold the grease pencil, and you move the shipping containers across the horizon like a sentence about to be said. This morning I saw the word dog in the hair left in the bathtub, and no matter how I turned, I could not get it to read God. October 29th, the Dow closes down, 11,118. 1. To make one thing of me, writes Rilke, or to work me, Lord, as Janice sings, like a field song, mockingbird variations for which I can find no equivalent. And no sooner have I written it down than I want to post it on a screen where I can see all manner of bodies burned, crushed, mangled under the weight of factories here, stitched into this night gown. Look up from this screen, which holds all manner of soldiers before, during, after their tours of Afghanistan. Drones, the actress like some character in a Greek tragedy who cuts off her breasts. Now flickering before me. Cold candle, a fire I cannot feel, hums through me, particle sure, as any unseen cancer or cracks in the wall of the garment factory. Work me, Lord, covered in paint. 2. Why must man always take on things. Map galaxies, name particles, while factories burn. Ash rises to satellites. The question I carry around like a locket with a dead child's hair that is not mine. The question of dead children comes with mine, says over and over, the world, which is economic system, does not care. And in the wilderness beyond, which is particle attraction and distraction, I slip from the grip of garment factory fire. To ask over and over, can you take it all in? Galaxy after galaxy? Open your eyes sky wide through love or force or training? 3. Let's remember this sky. And underneath, the factory workers, like a thought that dark matter thinks, a fluttering candle. Let's place ourselves beneath this hood of night. You can't gate this, razor wire, Guantanamo Bay this. The hospice nurse says, rest. In the space between breaths, place yourself. Let there be space too in your gaze. Let there be nurse. Before you want to check your status update, wash clothes, pull up the rug, like my status update, my revolutionary status update. I'll read one more. November 20th, the Dow is closed. If you want to catch the sun, you'll have to drive down the neighbor's street. My ambition's thinner. I watch my daughter's chest rise, sink, nurse her, worry. We raise children who will die. Look up from the driveway on the first night of standard time. See an owl in flight. Later, he'll trigger the dog next door, light 1 yard over. Smells like dryer sheets. Or is that the sweet of a new season? Yesterday on the toll road, I read a billboard about hungry children. $1 feeds 6. Today, midwinter day. I stick a green paper in the book so I know what to read when you get home. Keep the porch light on. Try to ward off what's hungry. Try to record with tenderness, light turn signaling in the trees. We catch a glimpse of sound cannons in the park. Scientists say the universe tears itself apart. I watch our daughter play with curtains before the rush hour traffic. And when I write about the light in the trees, it's like, fuck you. A human being killed by a drone is still killed by a human being off the page. Where roses bloom in our backyard, ice covers the porch, wind closes the airport. We say that might be good for surf. I wonder if the drones have a pulse on some screen, someone to watch a little line break. I don't want to settle the mind, want to say something to whomever follows me, hashtag off the page. And to my daughter, I want to say, we're all tired and working too hard. On the market, on the floor, futures trading is an awkward song. Owl cry, bookmark, flaring curtain sunset. I don't know how to read this text. From the tarot card, I draw the pink slip. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Casa Libre, University of Arizona Press, and Melissa. And I'd like to dedicate this reading to Karen Beaver and to Bojan and Susan. I'm from Alaska, and I'm cold. Isn't that strange? Is there ice here? Or is there must be sand ice. The fate of a nupiak, like kingfisher. But no one can stop the bird spear set in motion, made of notched bone. Feathered arrows pinnate around the shaft with hair fringe as it strikes, piercing debilitated skin. Some humans weave themselves with lime grass into large orbs. Others make goose feet baskets of seaweed or with narrow leaves, or collect matches or tobacco. The lamp soot burns like gas. On Clovis Point, a circular icy reef, my existence becoming a flicker, like orange scales of a kingfisher. We pirouette, diving deep. Days of next to yesterday, when she and I feel the weight of plastered walls, brick doors closing heavy, windows slamming. She and I like to crawl into an igloo, shoot, tunnel into the center of snow. Stripped down to her and my inner clothes, fur side in. She and I peel away the marmot skin, smell a pot of Labrador tea boiling. In her plank grave, she and I lay under sod, my teeth gnaw on dried herring, eider eggs, sip tea. With whale oil lamp lit, she and I watches Apaka, grandfather, melt snow for water, watch the ice shrink. No polar bear in days. Apnaka sews with worn heels and Apanika brothers' kamiks. No snow, only white rain. She and I watches them lift the toils of burdened life, a steelhead, plague, 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 as she and I shovel in front of my feet, throw peat moss into a mammoth's mouth. With no row, no narwhal, no reserves. Demons in a Quonset hut. She and I feed demons louse eggs, excrement, and fresh pussy willows. She and I set traps with burbot bait. She and I play string games with Tulugarok, the devil, to lure them out of the Quonset hut, mimicking their coaxing black eyes, a sneered smile. Squatting, rubbing, and twisting fire-grained driftwood. Trembling, she and I pound bone. In a shape of juggling stones, she and I set the fire while twigs crack. She and I feed Tulugarak, small dried white fish rubbing the fish oil grouse eggs. We leave the hut, go down to the riverbed, trap grayling in a fish basket. As we enter the cold, clear water, our feet turn cloven, our fingers curl, toes forging together. They say she and I feed devil's beluga skin. She and I feed demons. She and I butcher membranes down shore, covering her in my flesh, her in my eyes with soft snow, to absorb the wind and vivid bloodletting, a sacrifice to a God to forgive us. Oil is a people. Oil is a people. Will she and I jump the edge? She and I'll walk the wrist with wrist sliced by burdock, her in my eyes, fixed and formed like ironwood. She and I watch bulldozers drag only black peat, the surface, land not broken, only fragmented like green fused moss. 11,000 years is not enough. Not enough to climb north to the timberline, not enough to watch you ash women out of breath, while quickly picking salmon berries. She and I walk as if an Arctic cat swallowed my air, then my blood. She and I wait late this summer to pick berries east of the crossing where the slow fire burns the overlapping blades and lungs the mouths of tall grass into tufts of petal shrubs. She and I smell the pungent lead gray smoke from the shoreline of the old village. She and I hear cadaver ash whispering where your ceremonial house once held the winded songs of gypsy moths. Now, up in flames, blue oil burns, it fumes high at my shoulder as vapor gouges earth into a different form of wind. Flames transfer heat like hollow bones, but differing like a steel pipeline. 4 months ago, she and I drove the caribou to the point into cold water. She and I follow you, looking past the fog. Her, but imagine a night when we collected smooth ocean pebbles brought on white waves. She and I see the pipeline cracking the haul road, paved, oil dripping on tundra. She and I fall asleep as you are dancing with the dead, your head adorned with angel white loon feathers. She and I can't stop the friction of oil and gas, drilled with a thin scale attached to fins. Is she, am I, going mad? She and I use her teeth to drill cold, but maybe she and I can work metal, tungsten, steel into thick seaweed. She and I fall deeper to sleep. She and I make an ice shelter in case the cold doesn't work. I write about the things that are changing in Alaska and that are changing in my lifetime, and what I see in my family and what I see around me. A lot of these poems are imagined and dreamed and daydreams and in places unknown, in places that I don't know where they are or where they come from. I was taught that a storyteller is sitting beside me from 10,159 years in the future, here and now, 800,958 in the past. A storyteller is sitting beside me. I'm just a hollow bone. The stories come through me. They're not mine to own. They're not mine to own. Her and my Arctic corpse whale. Now the Norwegians, the name of the book, Corpse Whale, the Norwegians thought that they were the ones who came to Alaska first, not Columbus. It was the Russians and the Norwegians, the Vikings and the Tsars and the other men. When they came to the Arctic Ocean and the Beaufort Sea merging, they found whales white, corpse-like human beings, they thought, floating in the ocean. They didn't know they were narwhals. And so from there, I took the title Corpse Whale and used it. I trick words and slant lines and bend everything I can, from syntax to structure and thought and place. And at the end of this poem, you might be able to figure it out. I'm a hard read, and I like people to do 60% of the work. And I was taught that by Derek Walcott. And so, you know, the reader has to do work and not just read. So, at the end, the water's rising in my hometown. I was there 2 weeks ago, and I was amazed to see the changes in my family, how they survive, what they have to do to eat. You know, a 24-pack of, or 12-pack of soda is $22. A gallon of milk is $12. The young kids are going to college and universities and getting into engineering and going to work for the oil fields, working for BP, British Petroleum. Colonization. The elders are unhappy, but they're happy they have an education and a job. I was adopted. I had an Irish mother and a German father. I met my blood family when I was 30. I'm 47. So I learned in a backwards way, but I wouldn't change a thing. Her in my Arctic corpse whale. It comes back to the Inuit me. Images in the mirror are closer than they appear. On my kayak skin boat, she and I was forged by sea salt, by snow hammered into iron ore red herring. While she's and I'm paddling another floating corpse, a spotted human pelt. A narwhal is passing. A turquoise iceberg of plucked bones of ivory with a spiral blood-stained ribbons reduced to a single tusk. She and I pass and keep paddling. In a sea with gray and choppy scarlet walls of water, our carnage fuel oil wicks in lighted igloos on a polar seaboard next to washed up, empty, blue-green Coke bottle fishing floats mark a threadbare seine net packed with arms of a purple octopus grabbing the rearview mirror. She and I keep paddling, towing a 9-foot tusk straggle a blood trail, gap the glass and blink. The eyelids shun risky, long-handed braille rope packs. Her and my eardrums playing an old throat song, dry as sunspots. She and I keep paddling. In the lidless Assyrian section of ozone layer is a white giant. He looks through a tainted glass rope porthole, adopts a young Inuit, like model jellyfish, suck blood quantum, raises underground flags beneath Polaris star. Her and my flouncing caribou in dark moonlit are dodging bush laws. Her and my Malamute trots in Arctic circles before the midnight storm. Her and my ring seal barks couplets of coral, cold foreshadows in an oval tasting room with white columns and musty yellowed law books, reaching the shore of the Beaufort Sea, landing the kayak. She and I witness in triple thick permafrost of sea and land merging. The Inuit skeletons are rising like brittle driftwood ivory as a stellar eagle plummets, and she and I try pushing, and shoving the sinew back into the threaded bones of the land. Okay, I have to excuse me. I'm rather ill. You can probably hear my stomach growling. I'm not a healthy person. I think I'll read one more. It'll be right at 25 minutes, I think. Whalebone wolf hunter's dance. The synecdoche, a whale wolf hunter, creates a whale arrow into a Z pattern. He gently slides the sharp end into walrus blubber, freezes the fat whole, then places it in the trap line. A black-tipped silver wolf eats the frosted mukdak, thawing in the stomach the dart springs, piercing the membrane lining. Is a brew. A whalebone wolf slayer, oblique hole for eyes in a wooden mask with dancing gorget, rises to the hunt. Thank you.